In a few minutes, a couple will enter this box, they'll have sex, and then immediately afterwards come out and talk frankly about what they did. To me, a panel of internationally renowned sex experts, and in front of our studio audience. Welcome to Sex Box. It'll be honest.
It was just one big massive challenge, and never again, because I nearly passed out.
Funny.
I'd like to ask, if I may, what kind of sex you had in there?
And for some viewers, possibly uncomfortable.
Did you have anal sex?
As in a television first, our couples and a panel of experts hold a grown-up conversation about sex. And completing our panel, Phillip Hodson, a psychotherapist who doesn't believe in the strictly defined sexual categories of gay and straight.
Sex is natural, normal, we all need it, we all like it, we all want to be loved, and we all want to be touched. End of story.
Phillip, you've been a psychotherapist for a good 35 years. What have the changes been, I mean, both in behaviour and attitudes in that time?
Gay sex was illegal when I was growing up.
That would be a change, then.
I knew nobody who was divorced. The word clitoris, nobody knew how to pronounce it or even find it. And
So not much has changed on that score.
I hope we've made a slight difference there, but we've come a long way. In a way, you went from sex to commitment, whereas in the older days, it went from commitment to sex. Can I ask, people say, you know, the best sex is when you love someone. Is there anything about sex that you enjoy which is sort of the sex itself, or do you think that love is the only kind of sex?
No, see, I would disagree with that comment, but my personal view on sex is there's various different things that you can enjoy from sex. The physical side of it, the emotional side of it, and there's just a million and one things you can pick out from sex. And like, me and Rachel, we vary between, you know, just having real naughty, nasty, dirty sex to real loving and passionate sex, and it just varies so much.
So sometimes you're expressing your love, and sometimes you're using your love to go into a kind of role or a fantasy or a game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's based on a kind of trust which comes from being good together.
Yeah. Totally.
But then I also think, you know, say like a one-night stand, for example, you won't have the trust and everything there.
Can't.
But at the same time, in the back of your mind, you're both thinking, well, I'm never going to see you again.
But I would also say this, that when you get back together, you might well find that you're a bit bad-tempered and off with each other. So give each other at least a day of freedom to be in whatever mood you can be. And try and use the next day as the day when you have your lovely meal together and perhaps you go to bed. Because on the first day, you've travelled, you've got expectations, that things you haven't been able to talk about, and you've grown unfamiliar with each other. So give peace a chance.
Do you think that the misconceptions then about gay sex are less about what they actually do and more about attitudes to gay sex or gay lifestyles?
The reason why I think a lot of heterosexual people are confused and uncomfortable is that deep down they recognise there is no real distinction. And if you wanted my view, I would say that, because there are so many more heterosexuals than gay people, the greatest amount of anal sex occurring on the planet is between a man and a woman.
Phillip, I'm going to
Did you both have sex?
Yeah, we did. But,
Or did one do something to the other, as it were?
Oh, definitely. Well, there's a bit of that. Only I arrived, shall we say.
So you reached an orgasm, but you didn't. No, did you not want to?
I thought you'd have all the attention. So. Yeah.
But I'll rephrase the question because you made a joke. Did you not want to?
No, I just knew I wouldn't be able to complete it in time, and I wasn't going to enjoy it. So, as this is real sex.
So you took a sensible decision?
Yeah.
Does sex actually make you feel closer as a couple? Is it that what does it do for you? So people understand. What is sex about for you?
I mean, it does make us feel close, doesn't it?
Definitely makes me feel closer to you.
Because you held his hand when you came out, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's because he had an orgasm, you see. So he's grateful. I know that feeling, don't worry. So, Phillip, let me start with you. I mean, the 7-year itch, of course, is a bit of a sort of cliche, but the truth is that it exists.
We actually biologically lose interest. There is uncontestable research that in a long-term relationship, the amount of sex will diminish in a graph. And as I'm fond of saying, there are only about 37 things you can do in bed with another person. What you've really then got to do is to explore much more the psychological side. So I think it's a bit like conversation. If you're always talking cliches, you'll end up being bored with the person. So you have to make an effort. And unless you make that effort, you're in trouble.
Why do you think that is, Philip?
I think that life catches up with you in so many different ways. The biggest passion killer, as we know, is usually on very short legs, called a child. My phrase about children is they're expensive and they make you tired, but they certainly screw up your sex life. The fact that you can't get the privacy, the fact that you have to make a real effort when you don't feel like making many more efforts in an austerity culture, all those issues are part of what controls desire.
Very interesting from all of you. Thank you.
Would you agree with this, that when you came out of there, I thought, they don't seem very different. And when I've been listening to you, I've now come to the sort of view, and I try it on you, that you're so really in touch with each other that it doesn't make a huge amount of difference because it's completely natural for you to go further into sex. So that it's almost seamlessly involved in your everyday life, as opposed to a lot of people for whom it's a special event or it's worrying or it's troublesome.
I think sex is important to us and it is important within the relationship. It's not something that I think it has to be there in the relationship, but because it's not the be-all and end-all.
It's not the most important thing in the world.
It's not the most important thing in the world. And so it's almost, it's a bit of a weird thing to say, but it's almost like it's everything but nothing, if you know what I mean.
I think it's interesting. People mean what they do, not what they say. So if they say they love you and they treat you like shit, they don't love you.
What are your thoughts at the end of the evening?
I think that we've had missing conversations about sex in this country in particular because we're British and we're reserved, it's crowded and all that stuff. And I think that it is therapeutic for people to hear in an echo that their own normality, their own behaviour is shared with everyone else, that underneath all our roles or our education, all our appearance, we are the same. And that's what makes my heart feel warm.